Hello and welcome. Today we are diving into one of the biggest moves a company can make, expanding globally. It's a huge step, one that can totally redefine your future. So how do you actually get it right? Well, that's what we're here to do. Build a strategic playbook, piece by piece, to guide you through it.
So you're at that point, right? The business is doing well, and that big, exciting idea of going international is on the table. It sounds amazing, it sounds ambitious, and maybe, just maybe, it sounds a little bit terrifying. The real question is, where on earth do you even begin?
Successful expansion isn't about just throwing a dart at a world map and seeing where it lands. It's about building a smart, deliberate, data-driven strategy. Because without that solid plan, all that ambition can lead you down a very, very expensive dead end.
And that's exactly what this playbook is for. We're going to walk through 5 crucial stages. First, we'll start with the why you're even doing this. Then, we'll figure out how to find the right market. After that, we'll build a scorecard to compare your options, run a super important reality check, and finally, lay out the game plan to make it all happen. Let's get started.
First things first, why? Why are you even thinking about this? Every great strategy, every single one, starts with a crystal clear why. And this isn't just some philosophical exercise. It is the bedrock of your entire plan.
So the first step is to really define your main objective. You got to ask yourself, are we trying to spread our risk? Diversify away from our home market? Are we just chasing after a bigger customer base? Or is this about planting a flag and establishing a strategic presence in a key part of the world? Nailing down this why and deciding which product is your trailblazer is going to shape every single decision you make from here on out.
Okay, once you've got your mission locked in, you can start figuring out the where. We're shifting from the mission to the map, but we're going to do it methodically. This part is all about scanning the horizon for the best potential markets.
This initial process has a name, market scanning. Now, the goal here isn't to do a super deep dive into dozens of countries. Not at all. It's about a quick, high-level filter to weed out the obvious no's and create a short, manageable list of countries that are actually worth a closer look.
This simple table right here shows you just how powerful that initial scan can be. You're looking at really basic stuff: market size, growth rate, how easy it is to do business there. And check out country B. Its market might be smaller than country A's, but that high growth rate makes it a top priority. Meanwhile, look at country C. It gets a low priority. Why? Well, even with a big market, its sluggish growth and tough business environment are major red flags. This is your first strategic cut, and it's a big one.
So that first scan gives you a solid shortlist. Now we get to the real heart of this playbook, the expansion scorecard. This is the tool that's going to turn all that high-level thinking into a solid, quantifiable, data-driven decision.
This scorecard goes way deeper than just market size. We're now looking at the real pillars of success, like how fierce is the local competition? How messy is the regulatory red tape? Does the culture actually vibe with your product? Can you physically get your product to customers? And can you hire the people you need? These are the questions that will truly make or break your expansion.
And now for what I think is the most critical step, weighting. See, not all of these criteria are created equal. You have to decide what matters most to your business and assign a weight to each one. So if you're a consumer brand, maybe market potential is like 40% of the decision. But if you're a fintech company, the regulatory environment might be the single most important factor. This customization is what makes the model so incredibly powerful.
And here's where it all comes together beautifully. For each country on your shortlist, you give it a rating, say from 1 to 5 for each criterion. Then you just multiply that rating by the weight you assigned earlier. So for example, a rating of 4 on market potential with a 40% weight, that gives you a weighted score of 1.6. You do this for everything, add up the scores, and suddenly you have a single objective number to compare all your options. It's that simple. Okay, a high score is fantastic, it's a great start, but it is not the end of the story. Numbers just can't tell you everything, and that brings us to our fourth and absolutely crucial step, the reality check.
This is where you have to dig into the stuff a spreadsheet just can't capture. You need to ask the tough questions. How stable is the government? What are the real buying habits of people on the ground? Are there local partners who could be a secret weapon or a huge liability? This is the nuanced stuff that requires real, on-the-ground intelligence.
The best way to look at it is like this. The scorecard tells you what the opportunity looks like on paper. The reality check tells you how you can actually succeed in the real world.
and you absolutely 100% need both. I mean, a country could score a perfect 10, but if a sudden political shift makes the whole place unstable, this reality check is what saves you from making a massive mistake.
So, you've done it. You've chosen your market, you've balanced the hard data with that on-the-ground intel. Now comes the final critical piece of the puzzle, turning that big decision into a concrete plan of action. A successful launch isn't just one big event. It's a phased process. First, you've got your final research and planning stage. Then you make your initial, often limited, entry into the market. And only after you've proven that works do you move to the final phase, scaling up for real, long-term growth.
A really strong game plan maps all of these phases onto a realistic timeline. That first quarter, it's all about the foundational stuff, getting the legal side sorted, doing the final analysis. Then, the next 6 months are for testing the waters, a pilot launch, getting partners on board. You only hit the gas pedal, with a big marketing push and expanding the team once you've proven the concept works, usually around month 10 or so.
A smart plan is also a realistic one. It expects problems. Instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping you don't hit regulatory hurdles or make some embarrassing cultural mistake, you build in ways to handle those problems from day one. Worried about cultural blunders? Well, you invest in deep market research. Concerned about regulations? A strong local partner could be your secret weapon to navigate all that.
So after all this planning, how do you actually know if you won? You have to define success with clear, measurable metrics. It can't be some vague feeling of doing well. It has to be a number. For example, a clear target of capturing 15% of the market within 3 years.
Or, let's be honest, it could be even more direct. A hard revenue target. Is the goal to hit $10 million in annual revenue from this new market by the end of year 2? Now that is a clear definition of success.
So, ultimately, the final page of your playbook has to define what a win looks like for you. It needs that market share goal, that revenue target, a specific number for customer acquisition, and a clear timeline for when you expect to see a return on this huge investment.
And that brings us all the way back to the fundamental question that this entire playbook is designed to answer. It's not just about finding any opportunity. It's about finding the strongest one, an opportunity that you can scale, that can sustain itself, and most importantly, that perfectly aligns with the original mission you set out at the very beginning.
With a framework like this, you're no longer just putting a pin on a map and hoping for the best. You're building a data-driven, reality-tested strategy for success. Your global playbook awaits.